Hello, everybody. This is Wanayran Alvarez from Moving Cultures, and at the moment we are getting ready for our conversation with Katrina Fountain. So let me now access to the Facebook Live, and all our friends can be able to check in my page, Wanayran Alvarez Angerer, or Katrina Fountain Facebook page. Let me get there.
I'm confused.
Okay. So we're organizing the situation over here. Let's see. So, and this is the moment we go live. So hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending in which part of the world you are at the moment. So at the moment, we are also broadcasting live from Facebook. Today, we have an amazing guest. She is from the United Kingdom, and she has been moving around the world, sharing her talents, her commitment, and also her curiosity in sounds and styles and people. So we are going to have 30 minutes with Wanayran Alvarez and Moving Cultures on Facebook Live, Wanayran Alvarez Angerer, and we are going to start right now. Welcome, Katrina. How are you?
Welcome. Yes, I'm fine. I'm still trying to get your Facebook thing up.
Don't worry, I'm going to do that myself. I'm going to be able to place the Facebook Live on your page so the people can be able to join the conversation. So tell me, Katrina, how is life going?
Life is really good. I live in Moscow, which is one of the smartest cities that I've ever lived in, actually. It's amazing, and it's very different to Moscow of the 1990s, if you've ever visited in the 1990s, and also it is, and yeah, I'm here teaching at an international school.
Okay, Katrina, would you be able to tell us and to share with us some details about how music is so important in your life?
Yes. Well, music has always been very, very, very important in my life. Ever since I was 9, I started the flute and then was lucky enough to go to a music college in London when I was very small, and then just carried on from there. And let me just turn this down. So, and I have just carried on from there, and I've been very lucky to have lived in Zimbabwe and then gone to South Africa. I lived in Paris for a while. I studied there, and yeah, I've kind of traveled all over, but mainly with musicians and music. It's been fantastic.
You're a flute player, saxophone player, clarinet player, and what can you tell us about why do you choose those instruments?
I think the flute chose me. My great uncle gave me a marching flute, which was a wooden flute and was absolutely useless to learn on. So my parents bought me a proper Western classical flute. And I was just, ever since the age of 10, that was it. I'm going to be a musician. I'm going to play the flute. That's going to be the rest of my life. And the saxophone kind of dropped into my lap as well, because at music college I was playing viola, and they gave me the opportunity to play in an orchestra or to teach at the back of an orchestra. And I said, no, I don't want to do that. So I took up the saxophone, and that was it. I toured around the world with the sax and flute with pop bands and rock bands.
Okay.
Clarinet is just a recent instrument, but it's something that I teach, but I don't actually play. Very much.
How was your experience learning music that was in the 70s, 80s?
80s.
In the early 80s?
Early 80s, yes.
Early 80s, yeah. So how do you compare like the teaching experience now and then? Because now you're also on the educational field.
I think that, well, the teaching in Russia is very much like the experience that I went through, which is very prescriptive, and you must do it this way, you must do it that way. And nowadays, for us Brits, the teaching is very much an experiment and an experience. And I can see the benefit of both ways. And if I'm honest, I think for learning the instrument to the level that I learned it, it's really important to have that kind of Russian thing of very prescriptive. You do it this way, you do it, you learn this piece, all of that is really important. Yeah. Yeah.
You also have,
for my kids, I think they love having that experiment with music and being able to do things.
You were also engaged with vulnerable communities in the UK during the mid-2000s, right? Yeah. What can you tell us about that experience?
I worked in the East End of London with very deprived communities. That's traditionally one of the poorer areas of London. And I had just the best experience, because these kids come from very, very poor areas, but they just lap music up. It's something that gets them out of having to learn English and maths and everything else. It just takes them into a different dimension. We did lots of projects, and there were lots of projects going on with people like the London Symphony Orchestra and the Wigmore Hall people. And so they had a really good experience of music, I think. And they enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm also very honored and happy that I took part in one of the first music social projects in Zimbabwe. That was called the Musical Youth Project. Yeah. I think you were one of the few pilot projects in that field, because that was in the mid-90s. Can you let the people know how you got inspired to go about that?
It was a really strange experience. So Zimbabwe is still very divided in Africans and white people. And I got a bit fed up with going from one white area to another white area and not knowing what was in between, really. So that's how I kind of set up the Musical Youth Project, because I wanted to see what was going on in those areas, but I wanted to be part of that community. So I set it up along with two teachers from the Zimbabwe College of Music, and we went out into the rural areas and taught music and dance from different parts of Zimbabwe and also from South Africa. And then obviously, Wani, you joined the project, and Brian Paul joined the project, lots of people joined. And yeah, it was a good project. And in fact, I still hear rumors that it's going on in various bits of Zimbabwe.
Yeah, I think you managed to gather the right energy between traditional and Western education into a setting, that was not necessarily embracing it, because they did have music on the syllabus, basic, but they actually were recovering an identity, and they were extremely focused into the traditional. So what can you tell about that?
I think that the music in the rural areas just focused on the choir competition that came every year. Mm-hmm. So there was a lot of competition on that. And then there were various music groups out there, like drumming groups or marimba groups, but not really very proactive, especially in primary schools. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to kind of spread music a bit more, because the music curriculum was just beginning again in those schools. And we wanted to be able to give the children and the teachers something to teach with and something to experience. So our aim was to not just workshop with the children, to workshop with the teachers who were working in those schools, and help them to be able to teach what we'd come along with.
I see a couple of Katrina's friends requesting to enter our Zoom session.
Oh
And
my goodness.
it's okay, but I think we might be able to do a little section, you know, because the conversation, the 30 minutes is exclusively for the guests. But I think we can ask them to join and to keep their microphones mute while Katrina and we do our conversation. So excuse us for a minute because we might have some interactions on the moment we get people in. Okay, just a minute, Katrina, and then we can continue with our conversation. Oh. Okay, Katrina, I mute you. Let me unmute you. Okay, we have Abigail, we have David, and we have kids on the Zoom. I'm going to ask all of them to keep their microphones mute. Welcome. This is a 30 minutes conversation with Wanayran Alvarez Angerer, moving culture, women of the world, talk and act, and cultural stopovers. This is a one-to-one conversation, but this is a very exceptional situation because we have some of Katrina's friends today online. And everything is being broadcast live in Facebook. So you can actually access through Wanayran Alvarez Angerer or Katrina Fountain page. And later on, we're gonna continue spreading the voice and the message. Katrina is a clarinet, saxophone, and also an educator and a community leader, because she has been using music not only as a way to transform her own life, but also to transform communities and to inspire others. Before our friends Keith and David and Abigail joined, we were talking about her experience sharing her teaching skills in Zimbabwe when she founded the Musical Youth Project. Besides doing the community service and musical experience, she worked on her first musical production that was named Diplomatic Incident. What you can tell us about that, Katrina? Let me mute you. Yeah.
Hi, guys. The Diplomatic Incident came about because I was playing with one of the Zimbabwe's leading jazz bands, and with a great bassist who wrote some wonderful songs, but was having, anyway, he wrote wonderful songs, and that inspired me to continue to write some good songs, which is what I did. I then went to South Africa to record them, which was a whole new experience for me. And lots of different musicians that I'd never met. And it was absolutely fascinating because it was just the end of apartheid, and I didn't know anything about the skills of the musicians down there. But I have to say that South African musicians are probably second to none at jazz, basically. Really, really good musicians. So yeah, it was a whole new experience, but really good fun.
Yeah, the Diplomatic Incident is a print on your life because actually it represents one period of your career and also one period of your personal experiences.
Yeah, it was.
Yes.
It's called Diplomatic Incident because I was really hoping that I wouldn't have a diplomatic incident on my hands and be kind of deported from the country because I'd done something wrong as a Brit. So yeah, that's why it was called that.
Yeah, your second production was with Nadeem in India. What can you tell us about that?
My albums seem to come like every 10 years. By having a baby every 10 years. So yeah, I'd gone to visit Wani, who was living in India at the time, and I met this singer called Nadeem, and I started writing again and asked him whether he'd like to record some things. It was kind of a busy period of my life because I was working with Dave, who's here, and doing Saturday school and also working in the East End of London. But just started writing and just came out. So I went to stay in Delhi for 7 weeks over a summer holiday and recorded in Nadeem's front room, basically. So it was that was also an interesting experience. I was hoping for a bit more of fusion, but it ended up as more classical Indian music
Flair.
behind it. Yeah.
And also it was marking once again another stage of your personal life. Because you were also searching for this spiritual connection and spiritual journey.
Yeah, that's probably right. Yeah. It was yeah, I mean, I hated India, so I've never gone back. Unfortunately, I just yeah. Oh, it's good to work with Indian musicians, but at the same time it was hard. They have a really hard time over there, I think.
Yeah, and I think this is the point, connections and the difficulties you reach in the way will actually challenge you, and your work will be also different and will have that print on it. So let's now talk about these sounds on earth, or sounds of earth.
Yeah. Again, it's almost 10 years. I was working it out the other day. It's almost 10 years since I did the Delhi album. And I went for a holiday to the Altai Mountains, which is a very remote region of Russia, above the Mongolian border. And it's where all the throat singers, Mongolian throat singers, and throat singers come from. And also it's an area of shamans. And it's just kind of a very spiritual area. You can feel it. The nature is amazing. It's just massive amounts of sky, massive amounts of mountains. And it kind of affected me to the point where I sat on the side of a mountain one day and started writing. And that was a song called Hymn to the Altai, which will be coming out soon.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have a really bad cough at the moment.
Okay. You want to go to get some water? And
my story.
Yeah.
I have some water here, but
okay.
There's a funny story, because one of the songs that I wrote, which was basically, I took an Altai folk song and put a Zimbabwean and South African beat and chords to it. And I recorded it, sent it off. So this album I recorded, went back with South African musicians to record again. And I sent this particular folk song off to the studio in South Africa, and they recorded. And then the producer that I'm using, Ian Osring, said to me, I've been working on this song for a day and a half and I cannot get it to mix, to get together, to gel. And I jokingly said, oh, don't worry about it. It's probably the shamans and yangas they've got together and telling us that we shouldn't be recording this folk song. So kind of left it there. And I said, okay, well, he said, I'll send it to you, see what you can do. And it was basically, everybody was a fraction out on the recording, even though they'd used a click track. The tracks had just not got together well enough. Milliseconds, but enough to disturb both myself and Ian. And so I sent it back to him and I said, yeah, I think the shamans and yangas have got involved in this, and they're actually telling me that I shouldn't be recording this. So we had to restart the whole track all over again. And thankfully it worked. But it was one of those things that you think, hang on a minute, is this what's happening, or is it just my ears or something? You know, it was a very strange story and thing to happen.
Okay, so you see, you're still carrying the Tamagotchis that are following some of the Zimbabwean communities.
I don't usually think about it, but the shamanism in the Altai is just so strong that you can't ignore it. You can't ignore it.
And I think that's another important element about the sharing of experiences and knowledge, and also traditions, because it's This is a very traditional environment, combined with all the different experiences you have gone through with your sound and your expression. And of course, you have now a different way of reading it now. So, Katrina, now is the time that you can probably, we have 8 minutes to finish our 30 minutes conversation. It's not that long. You would like to share something with us?
Yes, I'd like to tell you that Songs of the Earth is a 10-track album. And I put it onto CD, well, it's going to be on CD Baby. So I will put the link on my Facebook. It's basically probably much more myself, because I wrote all the songs really, but it feels much more of me, and it feels very open. It's a flute album, and I've been using some fantastic, really fantastic South African musicians. People that 20 years ago, I kind of looked up to and went, oh my goodness, if I could only work with this person. And the one person that stands out on my album and just makes it completely amazing is someone called Samoy Mobuta. And he was Miriam Makeba. He was her choir master and backing singer, lead backing singer for 30 years. And he has got the most amazing voice. And I've just been so, so blessed to work with him, because he's just made all of my songs come alive in a way that I would never have been able to do if I just had flute and instrumental. So yeah, it's been a really good experience, and it's been so easy to have recorded all these tracks because everybody has been working in their own albums. Nobody's had any real direction from Ian, the director, the producer, and everybody's done what they've wanted to do on the album, and it's just all come together in a way that I never thought it would. I thought it was going to be much more difficult than it was.
There is any specific message that your new production has for the audience and for your followers?
Any specific what?
A message.
Well, it's called Songs of the Earth, but I don't want it to become a sort of like yoga or, new age album. So is there a message there? I think lockdowns taught me a lot about just respecting nature and thinking about the earth, and there's nothing more that I want to do than just kind of disappear and not have to go through all the technical stuff that goes on nowadays. I was really hoping that after lockdown, the roads would be really empty, but Moscow has traditionally the worst traffic jams in the world. So yeah, everybody's got back into their cars. But yeah, it's, I think for me, it's just a reflective kind of album. And I think that probably my heart is still in South Africa. And it's just because I've used those musicians again. I just couldn't not use any other musician. In fact, my viola teacher is on the album, but that's the only Russian musician I've used. Everybody else has been from South Africa or Mozambique, because there's some fantastic drummers in Mozambique.
Wonderful. So, Katrina, would you like to play something for us?
I would love to, but I don't know whether I can. I feel like I'm gonna. This is called Song of the Earth. It's one of the tracks. I don't have a backing track for it, but I'll play the tune. Thank you. I know, Dave, you're going to say, oh, that reminds me of.
Okay,
So,
we
yeah.
have 4 minutes, Katrina. Thank you so much for such a beautiful melody and engagement with life and music. And I'm going to give a few minutes to each one of your guests. We have David here and we have kids, so they can give you a message as well to encourage you to go on with this work. So let me mute myself so they can start coming in. Let's start with David.
Thank you, Wani. Lovely to meet you, and thank you for your introductions. Katrina, it's so lovely to see you, see your face again, and back in touch. I've really missed you. You know, you're such a lovely, positive spirit, and I mean, there's so much we could just. We've had some great discussions over the years when we were teaching together and coffee together and stuff, and you know, I always admired you tremendously in many ways. I've got so many questions to ask, but
let's catch up.
Yeah, we should. Yes, we definitely should. Okay, I mean, I won't waste any more time. But that was lovely. I do want to say that I really love you've inspired me to do some practice myself, actually, because we sort of moved out of London and semi-retired, and you've made me think I've got to get back on the tracks. But also, just to mention to everybody else, that Delhi album, I must go back to that because I really enjoyed that much, very very much indeed. Yeah, lots of love to you.
All right, let's catch up soon.
Okay, yeah, so now let's welcome Keith. Let me unmute you, Keith. Let's see.
Hello.
Just a moment, he's mute. Let me see where's Keith here. Okay.
I've unmuted myself at this end. Lovely to see you, Katrina, and to meet Wani for the first time, because I've heard quite a bit about you over the years. And I'm afraid Katrina's been hiding David and Abigail. I'm not sure where they all. I'm now finding out where David fits in. I'm really looking forward to hearing the CD. I can't really add much to what David said. What was else I was going to say? I was expecting to listen rather than say anything, I must admit. I'm lucky, David, that I have been catching up a little bit with Katrina we've had some quite long phone calls over courtesy of Facebook or WhatsApp. So that's always a good experience. But the thing that I've said to Katrina before is I'm amazed that she's produced first album using South African rhythms and all that stuff, and then the second one was Asian, and now it's hers. I don't think many people have absorbed so many different styles of music into their music as Katrina, so that's pretty unique and should be celebrated. Anyway,
I have to say that I was worried what was going to come out, to be honest, because I've been going through so many children's songs for the last 5 years that I was just thinking, oh my goodness, is my head just full of children's songs or not?
But it wasn't.
No.
Thank you, Keith. Welcome, Abigail. Nice to see you.
Hello.
Hi there. This is very funny because I met Katrina. We worked together on a Saturday morning with David, and we right now have a rotation. So I was in the center today and David was online, and I think next week it reverses. So it's so lovely to see you. I really wish we could play music together, Katrina. We must find a way. We must have a tour. But I wanted to say how excited I am to hear your new projects, and how I love that you have always this joy of fusion in your work. So everything is a little bit of every where you've been, and it makes this most delicious recipe. So I can't wait to enjoy this next dish that you've created for us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was a joy to hear you today. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you so much to Katrina Fountain, David, Keith, Abigail, for being here today in 30 minutes with Wanayran Angerer, moving cultures, cultural stopovers, women of the world talk and act. Get ready for the presentation of Chai Pat. He's a clarinetist player from Thailand, Bangkok, founder of the Clarinet Academy of Thailand, and also a brand ambassador of different clarinet companies. He's going to be with me at 10 o'clock Bangkok time. Thank you so much to all. Please keep promoting unity and diversity and the use of arts as a way to transform communities, your own life, and the energies around. Thank you so much. Blessings. Stay healthy and stay strong.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.